pick us up, dust us off. Will always be there for us when we need Him, in spite of how we treat Him. The fact that you made it this far should answer that question. Because when everyone else left you, God was right there. And He wasn't just there. He was holding you up. He was keeping your mind. Moments when you thought you should just end it all. It wasn't the voice of your friends that you heard, but it was the voice of your God that stepped in. We think of those moments when the silence can kill us, but it's in those moments we hear His voice of peace, His voice of comfort, His voice of compassion. It's those moments that change our lives. And let us know that He heard us all along. God is still yet trying to show us something in our lives and in this new year and in this season, that we may be able to believe in Him and trust in His word. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah. A familiar scripture passage. Jeremiah, the 29th chapter, verse number 11. Jeremiah, 29th chapter, verse number 11. One verse. Jeremiah, the 29th chapter, verse number 11. And it reads as follows. Jeremiah, the 29th chapter, verse number 11. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord. Thoughts of peace and not evil, to give you an expected end. Let's read that again. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord. Thoughts of peace and not evil, to give you an expected end. I want to speak real quick from the subject text. Catching up to your destiny.
Amen. That's good. Amen.
Catching up to
Yes.
your
Amen.
destiny.
Amen.
What I find interesting in today's church and the lifestyle of today's Christian is their inability to grasp what their destiny is.
Mm-hmm.
We are or have become a fly by the seat of our pants kind of Christians, which simply means that we just go with the flow, and that there is nothing driving us to reach a certain point or place in our walk. But you have to fashion in your mind that God is not just doing something out of the ordinary in you, but rather he is doing something that is going to produce a destiny that he has illustrated for you before. But because of your lack of faith, you have not grasped it. God spoke to Abraham and told him that he would make him the father of many nations. But he didn't stop his drive to fulfill his destiny. And what we should learn from Abraham is even when you don't see it, your destiny is still there for you.
Amen.
What we get tripped up on is our inability sometimes to see our destiny. And just because we can't see it, we just automatically assume that the destiny that we thought we had was no longer there. Let's look at that mindset and look how if some of those examples in the Bible, if they would have taken that mindset, how they would have never reached or fulfilled the destiny that God had spoke over their lives. Come here, Joseph, who was given a dream at a young age and suffered a lot of trials and tribulations. But through it all, he never forgot the fact that he had a dream, but rather not, he believed in the God still that allowed him to see the vision that God had set for his life. Had he had given up a long time ago, then he would have forced the hand of his life to be dealt down a path that would have altered the destiny just because he wasn't seeing what he thought he should see. But rather there was something on the inside of him that kept him with his head above water, that allowed him to still yet to see that God was still working it out on his behalf.
Yeah.
Even when it looks as bad as it looks now.
Yes.
You should still believe that God is still going to birth forth your destiny. The one thing we have to understand is the reason you can't see your destiny is because you have not invested in your destiny. There needs to be some type of investment on your part in order for your destiny to come to pass. You just can't show up and just believe that your destiny is going to rest in the palm of your hands. But no, there has to be some work. There has to be some sacrifice. There has to be something that you put into it in order for it to be manifested in your life. You just can't produce something from nothing, even though we serve a God that can. But what God is trying to get out of you is that when you go through some trials and tribulations, he wants you to see the good, even though it's bad. But the only way you can do that is to understand the purpose of your destiny. Your destiny is not there to give you a crown of glory that you may be lifted up on high, but rather it gives you a pinnacle to reach for, that you know that God is still God in your life. It's not there because it's going to bring you riches upon all the things that you have desired in your heart, but it's there so that God can get the glory out of what you've gone through. You mean to tell me that when David was anointed to be king, that he thought he was going to step right up and get into the kingship right first when he was anointed? No, there was a journey that David had to take that was going to test his fortitude. It was going to test his resolve. It was going to cause him to look deep within and cause him to invest everything that he had in what God had already told him was going to come to pass. But in order for his destiny to be reached, he had to go through some ups and some downs. Your life is not going to be without trouble. Your life is not going to be without heartache. Your life is not going to be without any pain. But what's going to separate you from those people who don't look at their lives the same as you do is how bad do you want your destiny to be fulfilled? How bad do you want your destiny that God says that you're going to own the cattle on 1,000? And how bad do you want your destiny to be fulfilled when he said, when you speak, then you shall have what you should speak? How bad did you want your destiny to be fulfilled when you know you got to believe and trust in the God that you serve, because he has never failed you yet? How can I catch a destiny that seems to have slipped out of my hands? How can I catch a destiny that appears to have gone away? How can I catch a destiny that seems to have just disappeared without any remnant that it ever existed? How can you do that? The first thing you have to do is you have to learn how to to depend on God's plan.
That's
Look
right.
at the text. He says, I know that the thoughts that I think of you. Notice he didn't say, I know the thoughts that you have for yourself, because he knows how fickle our minds are. You know how we get to thinking that we should have stuff that we know we're not ready to receive. You know how we get to thinking that we bigger than we are. You know how we get to thinking that we have arrived and we ain't even got up out of the place that we were in. But God says, I know the thoughts that I have for you. In other words, I have spoken some things into existence that you haven't yet grasped, because your mind cannot even fathom what I'm about to do. But if you believe God like I do, then you know the destiny that God has for you is going to come to pass, because God's word has never returned void.
Amen.
He says, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you.
Yes.
That should comfort some of you at this time and in this season, because you have to know that if God has thought the thoughts that he has towards you, then those thoughts are not evil but good. That's the kind of God we serve, that he takes evil and makes it good, but he doesn't project evil upon those who he's thinking of, but rather he is trying to get you to see that even in the trouble that you are in, my thoughts of you are outside of the trouble, but in the palm of my hand, bringing you out of the miry clay, taking you out of the pit, putting you on a firm foundation, placing your feet on a solid ground, and giving you the word that you need that is going to rescue you in your time of trouble. He's not trying to ruffle your feathers that you may weather under the storm, but he is trying to get something and quicken something on the inside of you, that you may stand up and put your place and put your hand in God's hand and know that you got to get to the place where God is going to bless you and elevate you to your next day.
That's right.
We spend so much time talking about what if,
That's right.
what could have been,
That's
what should have been,
That's right.
dismissing the fact that God has not finished doing what he said he was going to do in our lives yet. But he's trying to get us to a place where we can envision ourselves not where we think we should be, but where God knows we're going to be.
Yeah.
See, we put too much emphasis on what we can see. Then we always talk about we walk by faith and not by sight. But do we really? Or are you waiting for your destiny to be envisioned in your sight so that you can know what you should depend on, or know what you should be looking for? Well, shouldn't you trust God enough after all this time to know that God has not failed you, that there is something that he is trying to get into your thick skull, that you may be able to see that he is there to bring forth all the things that he has envisioned for you, and nothing could be greater than what he's envisioned to you that you can envision for yourself.
That's right. Amen. Thank you, Lord.
Maybe it's not the big job. Maybe it's not the fancy car. Maybe it's not the big house, but I can guarantee you, if God has envisioned it for you, it's better than anything you can think of for yourself.
Yes,
Amen.
That's right. That's right.
You really think that you can fathom something that's greater than what God can give you? If that's the case, then we sure would have envisioned a whole bunch of other stuff than what we've envisioned now for ourselves. But God is not that kind of God. He's the kind of God that will envision something that will be able to be sustained. We envision wishes. We wish we could have a great job. We wish we could have the house on the hill. We wish we could have the nice car. But wishes don't come true. Wishes are figments of our imagination, and they can't sustain themselves when you are trying to make them come to pass. You know, the decisions we made that we know we should not have made, and they just go away with the wind as soon as we make them. And then after the fact, we want to come back. You know, I should have never walked down that path. I should have never dialed that number. I should have never responded to that text. I should have never gone on that. I should have never went to dinner. I should have never ever gave him my number. I shouldn't have even called her back. But those are the decisions that we make, that we understand are made by ourselves, but they are not those things that God has thought for us, and has not been those things that God is trying to birth in us, because they have caused us too much pain and has delayed us from getting to our destiny as God has so designed us to do.
Amen.
At every turn, when you look at those in the Bible, you will see at every turn when God has something destined for someone, it doesn't matter what comes up against them, that God will make sure that they reach their destiny.
Yes.
You really think that God was going to leave David in the hands of Saul? No, the devil is a lie. At every turn, God would always have a way of David to escape the hands of Saul, because he had already knew what he had put on the inside of David and the destiny that he was going to birth through him. There was no way that God was going to leave him to let Saul destroy him. Just like there is no way God is going to let the enemy destroy you, when he has said that everything that your hand touch shall be blessed. You have to know that even when they talk about you, even when they lie on you, even when they try to plot against you, that let them plot, let them lie, let them try to do all that they can do, but God's plan shall come to pass.
Amen. Amen.
Lord, yes.
Catching up to your destiny is believing that no matter what the world tries to do to derail it, God is there to defend you. In a new way that when people try to derail you by the talk of your name and trying to bring you down to their level, don't try to get into the mudslinging business with folk who don't have nothing going for them. You just keep on. You ain't no business trying to go tit for tat with folk who ain't got no destiny on the forefront of their minds. You let them do what they have designed themselves to do, but you got a destiny that you're trying to carry on the one who established the plan from the beginning. You were yet in your mother's womb, and that some things, relations.
Amen.
Ethan Hawke does an appropriate decision on to make him to Mission Impossible, we would have learned long before that every time that has occurred, he always knows to find a way to outmaneuver this. Though the enemy has tried to illustrate it for you yet, but if you can depend, you're not dependent upon some fiction, but you got an idea that God is going to sure to show me that God has never failed every time he has spoken. So what that fails when God said you were going to come through? The devil is a lie. He has never failed. You just in contact with everything. God has given you a destiny on the other side of that mountain. You either got to go over it or through it. I don't care. Because there's a bump in the road. Get through it, because you know that even though there's a bump. The thoughts that I have with you, we always face to stand or leave. But whenever we come a situation in which the enemy had and destroyed, David says to God, shall I pursue? And after he says, shall I pursue? He says, will we overtake them? Will we defeat them? He was faced with a crossroads. The map of the plan that God has for you.
Yes.
Because there is no way to your ear, because you could not comprehend it. So therefore, it's not those things that you react to, that you don't know why you react, that is innate in your DNA. Well, God has a blueprint. Has already confirmed for you of who you are, because God has whispered it into your spirit long ago, that whenever you align yourself with God, every decision you made shall come to pass, because it aligns itself with God. The problem becomes is when we deviate
That's right.
from God's plan.
Yes.
And now we are left trying to speculate. You know, church hoppers who say, let me see if he's going to be at this revival. Let me see if he's going to be at this church next Sunday. Let me see if he's going to be at this pastor's anniversary. Let me see if he's going to be on the Word Network. Let me send my $89 in, because I need him. You're searching for of your being long ago. We spend all up just listen to that voice that I have put on the inside of you. I stand at the door and knock. Are you going to let me in? Are you going to finally hear that voice that I've been uttering to? I'm trying to get your attention when I got there just for
Amen.
that ain't the water you need.
Well,
That's right.
Mm.
Amen.
God is trying to get you to a place where you can see Him.
Yes.
You can't catch your destiny rolling on the highway.
Come on now.
Maybe it's this Sunday. I'm going to go this Sunday. I'm going to show up this Sunday. I'm speculating for your destiny.
Yes.
Come on now.
That's where you get the instruction of God. And all the other days, you need to get His attention when you need Him, but your troubles are going to hold off until you can get
Yes, amen. Amen.
hours. But rather, He wants you to be at His beck and call every minute, every second of the day, because that's how much He's there for you.
Amen.
Yes.
Thank you.
You can't get to your destiny. What good is my destiny going to be? You dress up, put on, beat your face, put on your red hold up to catch your man or to catch your woman, or you get all dressed up to catch that promotion and to all these things that we get ready. But you got to be able to come as you are, ready to do what God says for you to do.
That's right.
That's being prepared. Come as you are means that you're not going. You can't fix it. How is that going to cover and the perfecter of your say that I'm ready?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how many times you say you're ready. If you're not ready, you're not going to get to your destiny.
That's right.
God is not going to give you something that you are not ready to receive. And when we take our destiny for granted, God has to remind wow, and a judge for Israel. He hard down. He let out the secret of his faith in the sight of his enemy, the Philistines. But the story goes on is that they mocked him and ridiculed him, God, and how they had brought him down so low. But when you read the text, the Bible says that while they mocked him and ridiculed him, that his hair had started to grow again. It's just a metaphor. And his hair didn't represent in terms of length the trust and faith that he had in God, but rather it represented the faith that God to be summoned. I understand what my destiny was. It was not about me, but it was always about you. It had nothing. It was with me all along because your destiny never left me. I just had to know where it came from him.
Yes.
And it was always about God.
Amen.
Yes.
It's not the stuff that we gain.
That's right.
Makes it our destiny. Catch it if you just depend on who He is.
Yes.
Amen.
Federal workers as a pawn in their scheme to get what they want. Because people fail to realize that there are Uber and Lyft drivers and taxi drivers. People who have bookstores and have contracts to put food on their table.
Yes.
See, that's the government's plan. Failure.
That's right.
Yeah.
But when you depend on the plan of God,
Yes.
you know the thoughts that He has towards you. Thoughts of peace and not evil.
Yes.
You can depend on the expected end. The mismanagement of this government.
Yes.
That God will step into their situation
Yes.
and give them grace upon them and make everything all right.
Amen.
It's the money. Let it be what it is. And we start praying that God will tear down any wall that may be fixated and built to keep people from doing this or that. right now we have a law that says people can't get paid. That they gotta work and not be paid for their work. That people can't write a check for rent. That don't go to banks. The God knows to rectify it is to call on the one of a vendor. And his name is Thanos. He ain't one of these characters that we created. But he is I am. He is the host of this situation because man is too